All right, what is this, a 2JZ?
Sir.
Where's the turbo? Oh. All right,
It ain't
so
there yet.
all these, whatever this style engine, or pretty much any Toyota engine, and probably overall most Toyota engines, or any engine that's Japanese is going to be very similar. So this is our front crankshaft seal. We want it out of there. We got to be really careful because we can't score the crankshaft, and we also can't gouge the oil pump, timing cover, block, whatever this is going to be pressed into. In this case, it's oil pump. So what I have learned that I recommend is if I put this pick right here in the center of the seal, and I'm actually going to pound it in and pierce the seal right now. Okay, and it can be a little tricky. Right, I'm going to steer up a little bit so I'm not really touching the crankshaft, and I'm just going to try to hook this in behind it. Okay, and this might take a little strength, but I'm gonna hook it out, and see that one didn't work, so that one's kind of a fail.
Yeah.
So it's okay. I'm gonna start over. Pick this spot right here.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, that one looks like it came through a little bit better. And then we're gonna do so. That seal's obviously ruined. This is a one-time deal, right? And you walk this seal out. Okay, so there's our, this seal may not have been leaking, so there's a whole debate as to whether you should replace it or not. But more than likely, if we do a good job installing this new OEM seal, it should be better off than a seal that's 20 years old. But let me just get rid of this. Grab a little paper towel. So I'm going to do two things. One, I'm just going to clean up anything that might have got like fallen in or built up. Just keep it clean. It's not real critical that we get all the oil out. It's not like dealing with RTV or FIPG where you can't have any oil, but little oil, less oil is a little bit better. This seal is, in the inside of this seal, that is going to be basically having the crankshaft spin inside of it. So we want something to reduce the friction right there. So we're going to put a coating of oil on that. But the coating of oil should not be on the outside. Okay. The outside is going to be basically press fit back into the housing. But how we're going to do that's going to be a little tricky. And now I realize the snout of that crankshaft is a little bit longer than I realized. I wanted to use this, but as you can see, that's not going to work. So we may actually pause, and I may have to get something longer, maybe an axle nut socket, or if not, we might actually get a piece of like PVC pipe that should fit this, but be big enough inside to slide over the snout of the crank and drive it in. So we are going to pause. So we're back. Like we said, just gonna put a little oil on that inner lip, and sometimes I'd use grease, but being that oil is what we're definitely working with, oil's a safe bet. So that lip is coated. Now let's go and drive it. And again, I'm doing my best to not put it on the outer circumference of the seal. But it's not extremely critical. So we got this driver. The driver needs to be deep enough. It needs to be close to the outside diameter. And then it needs to be big enough on the inside diameter to clear the crankshaft and these little woodruff keys. So this one should be pretty good. I'm going to swing it down there. I may actually start it by hand. And the name of the game is keeping it straight. And so I'm going to start it nice and straight. And then this is the part that takes a little bit of finesse. Line it up. And as I drive it, I'm looking at it, and I'm going to drive it as straight as possible. So I may pull and feel. Feels like it's pretty straight. It looks like it's maybe just a little out up in the about the 11 o'clock position. So I'll hit there. And you don't want to drive one side of it in and not the other side, because that's basically you bending the seal. And so some people, as brought up, would just take an extension and kind of knock it in a circle, and that's not preferred, but it's worked many times. So no judgment by anybody doing it, but if you're new and you're just starting out, that's not what I would personally recommend. So, in this one, we're getting pretty close. This feels like we're definitely good right there. And I looked at the old seal, by the way, and I recognized that it was flush, so I know we're just going for flush again. And what's interesting, if you had a little bit of wear in the crank and you drove it slightly less than flush or slightly more, you'd actually kind of hit a fresh spot. That one's got to go a little bit deeper. And I felt like this was kind of bottoming out. I wasn't sure exactly why that was. So I actually might break my own little rule and finish it up just with what we said, which will serve the purpose of the demonstration anyway.
A smaller quarter.
Probably a short one.
Or-
This one will be fine. It's alright, you got it back?
Yeah.
Okay. So for some reason that driver wasn't quite driving it flush, so I could very gently just go around in the circle and just tap this to nice and flush. You heard it?
Yeah.
It's not really rocket science, but if you screw it up, it sucks if you only have one seal. You can't put it back together till you get another seal. So I'm happy with that. Zoom in, listen close. Be happy with that.
Looks good.
All right, you guys gonna do the same thing for the cams, but basically that's the same process. So good to go.